Your business is one of a kind, so your website should be too. With Wix, it's easy. Almost too easy to create a website that's perfectly yours. Just tell AI what kind of site you want to build or choose from thousands of templates. Change whatever you want, whenever you want, and get everything you need to start running your business your way. No matter what you sell or what you aspire to be, you can do it all yourself on Wix.
Hello, I'm here during the lunch rush with Janice, who owns her own food truck.
Best cheesesteaks in town.
Janice traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for her food truck business. We're here where she needs us most.
They sure are.
We make it so easy for her to save, with customised coverage that grows with her business. Sorry, I just get so emotional talking about saving folks money.
Not this onion I'm chopping?
It's just so beautiful. Oh yeah, no, it's the onion.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.
It's such an important topic to discuss on this podcast. Grief and alcohol have sadly come together for as long as we can remember.
In fact, many people develop an addiction to alcohol when self-medicating through grief or trauma. It can also lead to those of us who have worked hard to get sober, sadly relapsing.
Yeah, this is exactly why we are here, to help you avoid falling into this same trap.
By the end of today's episode, I hope that we can help you understand why turning to the bottle to numb out grief, or any pain for that matter, is not a wise choice.
And we will teach you a few tricks of our own to help you prepare for and navigate these situations when sober.
One of the things that I found most frightening when I began researching the connection between grief and alcohol is that not only do most people drink through grief, but more importantly, this is the time when an addiction often begins.
Yeah, scary. Many people turn to alcohol when coping with grief, either stemming from their own terminal illness diagnosis or from watching a loved one grow sicker. Could be for many reasons. Losing someone is certainly one of the most upsetting and painful experiences anyone can have. It's common to go through a wide range of emotions, from anger and denial to sadness and despair. Each person goes through the grieving process differently, and they don't always do it in the healthiest way.
Sadly, self-medicating all that emotional pain often leads to alcohol addiction, with grief's impact on mental health taking a serious toll, even for the seemingly strongest and most resilient individuals. For many of us, it's comfortable and familiar to drink directly after a negative feeling, to cope or take the edge off. It's also easy to be able to rationalise that drinking after experiencing a hard day. You might tell yourself it's relaxing or even sleep-inducing.
So why does alcohol have this effect on us? We've spoken a lot how alcohol releases dopamine, which effectively makes us feel happy, but only at first. Its ability to slow down the nervous system might make you feel relaxed, and drinking to excess might even put you in a state of blackout when you think about very little at all. When dealing with grief or a similar trauma, drinking to the point of no thoughts at all can sound very appealing.
How have you dealt with grief in the past, and have you had to experience any at all since going sober, Vic?
Well, I realise when you asked this question, because Hamish emails me these questions, don't we? We take turns in writing these kind of outlines of our scripts each week. And I really had to sit down and think about this one, Hamish, and I realise that I have never grieved, which is strange because I have known people that have died. And in my drinking days, alcohol was how I processed a death, which I think it will be a very, very common thread for most people who are drinkers.
Interesting. So you've experienced grief, but you have never grieved.
Exactly.
Those things can be separate.
Yeah. I have never grieved because I drank, and that was the way that I almost celebrated that person's life or commiserated their death.
Yeah.
Grieving was alcohol, which is terrible to say now, looking back. I do feel quite bad about it. Even the tsunami, of course, I witnessed after flying back into the disaster zone. I saw a lot of death, and, you know, the only thing I thought to do was to pick up a bottle of vodka out of the sand that had washed up and drink it through. And again, I kind of told myself, well, I'm celebrating the life of the people that have died. Yeah. But now looking back, I realise I was probably just numbing out a lot of pain, and because I was seeing some crazy stuff, like coffins piled up everywhere. You know, that would have caused some trauma in me, but of course I drank through it. Some other things that I do regret in the way that I didn't deal with grief was the last conversation I ever had with my nan. I was drunk, and I feel really terrible about that still. But then again, I didn't know any better, and that was just how I dealt with her being unwell. And I was being on the phone with her and being all friendly, but I can't remember half of the conversation. Yeah. And then she died quite soon after that, and I have a huge regret. And maybe I drank after her death because I felt bad about that. Mm-hmm. Because we have to go to like different levels here, don't we? You've got to go underneath the drinking and understand why I was drinking instead of just going, oh, well, I drank because I drank. It's really interesting to peel back the layers of why we drink. And also, if anyone died that I knew, it was always drinking at the funeral. We just pretended, that's what they would have wanted.
Always.
That's what the person would have wanted, yeah.
Massive piss-ups.
Yeah. And we kid ourselves. Like, I wouldn't want everyone to get drunk if I died. I think, oh, well, why don't you just have a nice, game of Scrabble?
Wow.
I wouldn't want them to get drunk.
I want to come to your funeral, but I don't know if I want to play Scrabble with other people mourning.
You're not invited.
No, thanks. I'm not coming anyway.
Oh dear. So I have had some run-ins with death in my life. I actually heard somebody die once, which was very traumatic.
How?
I realise now. I was in hospital in Thailand with dengue fever, and they brought someone in who'd been in a motorbike accident, and I heard him take his last breath.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember the next day having a drink for him, saying, oh, that was a shame, and cheers to that bloke who I never met. It's a very strange way to deal with something, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas, in fact, Hamish, I was probably traumatised. Scary looking back. I mean, the one thing I do grieve about is my old life. So that's definitely a different sort of grief, that when you get sober, you sort of grieve the person that you were. Yes. That's not really related to, like, dealing with trauma here. It's a very different feeling. I always drank away sadness because that's what I was meant to do, and I never, ever questioned it. But since becoming sober, I do obviously not drink when I experience grief, and I find that helps me process my emotions a lot better, and I can get over something and understand the reasons why it happened. Unfortunately, one of my cousins died. In fact, two of my cousins have died in the last few years, and it is absolutely traumatic for everybody involved. And I felt I wasn't a useless mess in those situations. Right. I felt that I could talk to people and communicate with my auntie, who's her only daughter had passed away, and be honest and open and loving to her in a way that didn't involve alcohol, even if it was over an email. There weren't any drunken texts or anything that. So, I'm so sorry. I was really open and honest with her and helped her through it in some ways. I was able to have good conversations about it. So I have dealt with death in some ways since being sober, but not directly. Of course, my son Freddie nearly died, and that is so confronting that of course I never even thought about grieving because I was so determined that he wasn't going to die. But I cope now when I get sad news. I'm much more level-headed and I can process the emotion, as I said. Death is strange. If we think about it too much, it can make us feel very, very vulnerable, and it makes you question everything, doesn't it? Yeah. So I try not to, in my sobriety, think about death too much, because it takes you down a really negative pathway. I mean, we know we're all going to die, and we don't know how we're going to deal with the death of loved ones until it happens. I feel like I know I wouldn't drink in those situations, but I definitely try and live a little bit more in the now so that I don't have to process all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a famous quote by Eckhart Tolle which springs to mind here, which is, realise deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus in your life. That came up because I think of fear. I fear the death of my parents, and I fear something happening to my children. So therefore, I find it easier to try and think about the now and block those things out because I don't know how I would deal with them in the future. Yeah. And also, I just wanted to add one last funny story here to my awful negative death stories. I was in the car this week with Freddie, and he was really upset. He was crying. I was like, oh, Freddie, what's wrong? What's wrong? He just went, Bob Marley died. I was like, yeah, he died like 30 years ago. He's 3.
Whoa. How did he even...
No idea. Just came out with it.
And you always liked reggae. So
yeah, I don't know, he must have heard it somehow.
Has he ever said anything you're more proud of him for saying?
I know, I was like, yes, Bob Marley has died. That is my child. Yeah.
Bob Marley did die.
I actually got a video of it. I'll share it with you. I did.
You got it on camera?
Yeah, but he said it and I picked it up and I said, what did you say?
It again, mate.
I said, what did you say, Freddie? He said, Bob Marley died. So cute. Anyway, back to dying, Hamish.
Yes, good. Cheery. Well, for me, the last time I did like a stint of sobriety was in 2015. And in that year, my grandma died, who I was really, really, really close to. And my uncles and my mum are not really close. So it was the first time that both of my uncles and my mum had all been in all of my life that I can ever remember, everyone in the same place for this funeral. And I can remember at the time feeling sad that I couldn't drink. I was like, we're never all going to be in the same room again, which I guess is what funerals are. It's kind of like a wedding, and you're like, this collection of people will never be in a room together. So let's celebrate it by drinking if you're at a wedding, or let's, kind of celebrate it by drinking if it's a funeral to, commemorate the person that's died, which is quite a weird thought.
Yeah, it's like a tradition, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an odd
tradition,
tradition,
champagne.
really.
Like, champagne is meant to be the celebration drink, not the funeral drink. But
what do people drink at funerals? Champagne, do they?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, okay. I haven't been to many funerals, actually.
The difference between a funeral and a memorial, I guess the memorial is more like a celebration, and a funeral seems to be more for the immediate family grieving. I'm not sure, I haven't been to many of these, but memorials, what that I've been to, are like parties. There's a DJ, and there's drinks, and there's canapes, and there's like a few hundred people there, rather than, this is only people that die young and still have hundreds of people.
I was about to say, it very much depends on who has died, doesn't it? So it depends on the level of commiseration and celebration. If it's a child that's died, it's a completely different situation. Whereas if it's someone who's lived a full life into their 80s and 90s or whatever age, and you feel like they got a chance to live, it's a very different situation. You can celebrate their life.
I guess we don't know how to celebrate things without alcohol as a society. You and I obviously do, and anyone that's sober does, but the world is not caught up with that. So we still think, a funeral should be about celebrating someone's life, 100%. It shouldn't all be doom and gloom. It should be an element of, grateful that you were as close to someone that you're even at their funeral. But we just don't know how to celebrate it. Yeah, but I can specifically remember feeling sad that I couldn't drink on that day of my granny's death, because all these people are here and my granny's died. There was only...
This is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. O-Pill is the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Let's be real, getting a birth control prescription is not always easy, and it's so much admin. In fact, about a third of women face barriers to access prescription birth control. Between scheduling appointments, missing work, class, or just trying to exist, it's a lot. But now O-Pill is putting birth control in our control. O-Pill is a daily birth control that's FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen free, and 98% effective when used as directed. Grab it online or at most major retailers, no prescription or doctor's appointment needed. So if you're thinking about birth control, check out O-Pill to see if it's right for you. Use code GIGGLY for 25% off your first month of O-Pill at OPILL.com. That's code GIGGLY at OPILL.com. Birth control in your control. We love to see it.
When you've got too many ideas and too little time, that's when you need Wix for your website. Wix helps business owners, like you and me, get more done without burning out. It's packed with AI tools that actually make running your business online easier. Build a full site just by talking with AI. Get an AI agent to manage your sales and marketing, or work like a 10-person team, even if it's just you. Try it for yourself at Wix.com.
4 of us at the funeral, so I thought it's such a close-knit family moment. But I didn't drink that day, and I remember it being one of the hard days that I didn't drink.
I think what you've touched on there, Hamish, is very interesting, is that as a culture and a society, we don't know how to communicate our feelings in that situation. So somebody's died and we're at a loss as what to do, so therefore we just all get drunk. That is it. What else is there to do? Nothing else is going to make us feel better, and we program our brains into thinking, well, this is what we can do. Let's get the drinks out. Everybody can have a good time. We'll think about that person that's gone, and that's how we're going to do it. And actually, that's actually quite toxic, isn't it? We don't have to do that, we're starting to realise now. And actually, we could just have a nice time and have nice, honest conversations about that person. I do think that's a bit of a shame to end.
I've got a theory on this.
Okay, go.
So I think because a funeral or a memorial is, a few hours long and there's loads of people there, so basically you don't actually process any grief during it. 100 people there, you have lots of 2-3 minute conversations, you might share a funny story, and everyone has a drink. And so I think those are the rules of a funeral. We're here for a few hours. Really, you're not going to scratch the surface. I went to a funeral, a school friend of mine committed suicide, and he was Belgian. So there were 4 of us got in a car together in London, and we got the Channel Tunnel, and we drove there, and it took us ages and ages. Then we spent the weekend there, and we drove back. And because there was an extended period of time, and none of us had seen him since school, and he died 4 or 5 years after we left school, because there was such a long period of time, we had days to talk about it and process it. I have like really fond memories of that. I think it was a long weekend we went for, because we actually had it out. You know, we actually dealt with the grief, because 90% of the time we were there, we weren't drunk. So I think there's something in the fact that funerals are such a short snapshot of a period of time that you're not going to grieve during a funeral. I don't think families particularly enjoy it. Friends just go, oh, screw it. You know, with 2-3 hours with a group of mates, drinking is what we do.
Yeah.
So I think there's something in that. I think a funeral maybe should be days long. I know that's not really doable.
No, I think in different cultures they deal with death in very different ways. And I do think in India sometimes the funeral goes on for a while.
Right.
Who designed the funeral? That's what we want to know. Like, who designed it to be a drinking festival?
Yes.
Whereas I'm sure in other countries there are better ways to deal with death than we do in the Western culture, because we don't get a chance to process it at this one function. Perhaps there does need to be something that's more drawn out, different events over a 5-day period, like an Indian wedding, for example, where you do get to connect with the people there and hear the real stories without it being this 3-hour thing where you just throw booze down your neck.
Yeah.
I know that I would like to be remembered, and my friends get together like you did with your mates in that car for that drive and remember that person and talk about them and feel like you processed something on that journey. It was more of a journey than you realised, that, Hamish, wasn't it?
Journey.
Yeah, so it's interesting the way as a culture that we deal with death is to like get it done, get the funeral out of the way and try and get on with our lives. And actually maybe we need to carry it on a bit longer and talk about it with the people there and have a way of communicating after the actual event.
Yes. So I think otherwise you just go home and then basically deal with the grief alone.
Yeah.
Being with a room full of people all who shared this love for the person.
Yeah.
But actually you probably just chat shit, get drunk, and then over the course of a week or a month or a year or years after the funeral is probably when you actually do the work and start processing it.
Yeah. And maybe it could be a quicker process. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Very interesting topic, actually. If you would like to support the Sober Awkward podcast, we're excited to announce that we've joined Patreon. Patreon is a membership platform which allows you to give back for the content you love.
By buying Sober Awkward a cuppa once a month, we can keep the giggles coming and continue sharing our sobriety message.
By joining Patreon, you get access to Sober Awkward merch, extra content, special promos and loads more. Just find the link in the show notes or head to patreon.com and search for Sober Awkward.
And together we can learn how to feel the awkward and do it anyway.
What are some of the reasons that we should not turn to alcohol to help us through grief?
Okay, the obvious one is it simply doesn't really work. To start with, alcohol is a depressant, so why would you drink it to make yourself feel better?
True.
What does depressant mean? It means that it reduces arousal or stimulation and slows down the messages between the body and the brain. As a result, it can make it harder for people to process emotions. It can leave their feelings unresolved and delay the process of coming to terms with grief. I saw it described in an article that I read as trying to repair a foundation with duct tape.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Which is right, isn't it?
Right, yeah. You know, you can't feel the feels, can you, if you're just kind of like patching up the wound?
Yes.
Yeah. What might start out as an innocent enough tool to deal with traumatic experience can quickly get out of hand. The issue is with a reliance on an addictive substance such as alcohol, it can mean you begin to require more to get the same effect. And that is a slippery slope, people, into addiction and mental health issues.
Yes. One recent study shows that both men and women with major depressive disorder and complicated grief have much higher rates of alcohol dependence compared with depressed individuals without complicated grief. Researchers who investigated the effect of grief on brain function found that complicated grief triggers the nucleus accumbens. Accumbens? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I hope you know the word. Accumbens, which is a part of the brain's reward centre.
Cucumbers.
Sorry, let me say it again. Grief that triggers the nucleus cucumbers, which is a part of the brain's reward centre that dictates addiction-related behaviours. Brain scans of affected individuals show that activation of neural pathways took place in the area of the brain that is associated with a longing for alcohol and drugs. This suggests that memories of loved ones could promote addictive behaviours in those who suffer from complicated grief.
It's funny, when I've spoken to my sister Louise, who's nearly 25 years sober, about grief, one saying they have in AA that addiction is the result of unresolved grief. And now whether that grief is over someone dying or your parents splitting up or because of a lost youth due to abuse or anything like that, any sort of grief that is unresolved can lead you into an addictive behaviour. So that's really interesting. It doesn't have to be actually a death. It can be a death of part of your life or a sadness over a situation that can cause this exact same level of grief within your life, which then can lead to addiction.
Yes, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's often a good idea to look at those that have gone through grief the most to see if there is something you can learn from them, like my sister. Sadly, those that join the army and go into war will experience significantly more trauma and grief than the rest of us. And the numbers behind this are telling.
Alcohol is the most abused substance in the veteran population, not to mention the reported binge drinking culture within the army. As an example, about 8 out of 10 Vietnam veterans seeking PTSD treatment have issues with alcohol abuse.
The knock-on effects on their mental health are frightening. In America alone, an average of 44 veterans will take their lives every day.
Sadly, the strong link between alcohol abuse and grief is costing people their lives around the world, and it's happening right now.
Clearly, the issues with mental health and suicide rates are far bigger than simply alcohol dependence. We could talk all day about therapy, drugs, vulnerability, and the importance of communicating emotions, but let us focus predominantly on how not to turn to the bottle.
The only control you have is over that first drink. We talk a lot about playing it forward. Getting drunk, having drugs, shame, possible loss of your sobriety, all of that is connected.
Having drugs.
Having drugs. Very much spoken as someone who's not done a lot of drugs, isn't it?
Have you been
doing the drugs?
Have you been having the drugs again? That's funny. Don't drink to forget. That is an important one. Stay sober to remember and pay tribute to the one that you have lost. I love this one, Hamish. It's because you are just washing them away, washing their past, washing their lives away with alcohol if you're drinking to remember them. Yeah. It's just a waste of time.
Just another hangover.
And then you've got another hangover to deal with grief. So you've got grief and a hangover. I can't imagine a worse combination. It's probably like doing shots and having a glass of wine. Like the worst, most sick-making combo. If you feel like shit physically and mentally on a Sunday morning and then you're dealing with the death of someone on top, that is not going to be good for you people.
Your business is one of a kind, so your website should be too. With Wix, it's easy. Almost too easy to create a website that's perfectly yours. Just tell AI what kind of site you want to build or choose from thousands of templates. Change whatever you want, whenever you want, and get everything you need to start running your business your way. No matter what you sell or what you aspire to be, you can do it all yourself on Wix.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
yeah. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, It wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it
Yeah,
now.
go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy. Buy it, yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.